Okay, hello men. It's the regular Sunday morning throwdown, and I still don't have the voice to do the wrestling when they introduce the wrestlers, and he goes, "It's the throwdown," but I can't
Oh,
do
that'll
that.
do.
So,
That's perfect.
yeah, so I have to perfect that and practice it, and I'll come out with it someday. But I thought that would be a good entrance. To the throat. I know we got a heartburn and we got Shining in. I'm expecting Messenger, maybe a surprise guest or two, a very surprise guest or two if we feel up to it. And we're just gonna wing it today, and kind of whatever topics on our head. There's been a lot of bandering about in the manosphere about what we get thrown on us, what we have to take care of, what we have to accept in Mgtow, and that's always the thing. What do we have to accept in Mgtow? I thought it was about masculinity. I thought it was about men. I thought it was about just us having this place where we can be men. But obviously, the whole world wants to come in on that, and they're coming
Well,
in.
well, Messenger wanted to come in and talk about the situation or the current situation of Mgtow. He's just released a video like we just mentioned. I've not had a chance to watch it yet. Hopefully, maybe he'll come in later. But yeah, a lot's happened these past few days. In fact, these past few weeks, a lot's happened. One thing that I've noticed as well, I don't know if we're going to be able to talk on the topic of politics. Heartburn might enjoy this one, but Ann Coulter has been on the news a lot lately. She's been talking a lot of shit. She came into prominence in Mgtow because she said that women shouldn't be allowed to vote. So she got the two thumbs up from Mgtow from that. But then she kept on talking, and unfortunately, a lot of her facts were were kind of not true. So she's been
Yeah.
called that on that. I mean, one of the things she was famous for saying was Canada sent troops into Vietnam, and soccer is what's the word she used, a hoodlum sport, and it's
Oh, no sport.
im, it's immoral to only immoral people play football and things like that.
Oh
But
God.
yeah, I mean, obviously she came to she just shot to the news recently due to the fact that she supports Heartburns man Trump for
Yeah.
for candidacy.
Of course she does. She's gonna root for the lead horse.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's that time of the season pretty soon where all the what used to be the Tea Partiers are going to come out, aren't they? And Ann Coulter was a Tea Partier, and and then on both spectrums, all the crazies are going to come out. This is when it really gets interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with the political game is they don't really, well, everybody knows that politicians lie, but how can you get away with it? How can you spin it so you can win? What's the word now? You
Popular
can,
vote.
you can win, yeah, popularity. It's not just about getting the votes, but it's about spinning a different line everywhere you go. So, like George Bush did, he said something in one state, said something else in another, and obviously this is going to get very interesting. Yeah, one thing, in fact, that I did want to talk, because obviously this is for you guys in the US, but over in the UK as well, the uh, the um, the manosphere is getting more and more attention. I mean, that Veggie Yates thing, that was just, I think, the tip of the iceberg. But now, the I think you describe them as the liberal left. In America, it would be the liberal right, but in the UK, we call them the leftists. They're now talking about the lack of men's rights, the lack of fathers' rights, the complete denial that there's any type of abuse, to children due to the fact that they're denied male role models. But no, I mean, I think there was only a matter of time we started talking about politics on this podcast. Maybe say it's a
Politics.
high time.
It's high time. Yeah, yeah. It's going to be an interesting year. Uh, Harper, you're a libertarian.
I really don't fit in any category. I
No
guess you would
category.
I lean a little right. I don't know. What put a pendulum? Let's say he's left on sex and right on money.
Yeah.
I don't fit any category.
I'm kind of waiting for this mediocre candidate, like you'd probably call him a moderate Democrat, to come in, because we just need something moderate now, because we've had both ends of the spectrum for so long.
Isn't that Bernie Sanders for you guys?
Is it Bernie Sanders?
No, Bernie's so far left. He's off the. He could win an election in Europe. He's so sold out to socialism.
Who is the moderate?
He's in the wrong damn continent. Where are you?
Yeah, so Bill Clinton. I think Bill Clinton was a moderate Democrat, or you could even put him in moderate Republican camp.
What I don't understand is the small-mindedness of people that think you're either with Hillary Clinton or you're with Trump. I mean, is there no third option? Everybody thinks you're either one or the other.
Is no happy in between?
Is that the case?
Well, I mean, it's a two-party system, and no other candidate you're going to suggest now has a shot in hell. So you got to back one of the two.
How
we're
about
already there now. Even though the primaries haven't even happened yet, we still already know what our candidates are going to be. It's going to be Trump and it's going to be Clinton, and that's it. So you got to pick one. I'm going for Trump. I like Trump. I don't know what kind of president he's going to be, but he's so non-traditional, and he has no problem getting down in the gutter with Hillary, and he'll call her a bitch in public. I just can't wait till it happens. It's going to be beautiful.
When that rolls off his tongue, it'll be
beautiful. It's going to happen.
Yeah, but are you not afraid that Trump is going to pull you guys more into war? In fact, I say you guys. It's going to be everyone in the West more into war. Going to drag.
No, but he's not a warmonger, Trump.
No.
I mean, he's obviously pro-military, pro-law enforcement, but he's not. He's not like a Bush. He's not sold out to the factions that wanted that war in the first place. Trump is autonomous to a lot of the stuff that most right-wing candidates are sold out to.
I don't think his money's in that. Do you?
No, it isn't. I mean, he's got business in China. He's got business, pretty much everywhere. But he's not sold out to anything.
Yeah. Bush. They had their money in the military complexes, and a lot of people have their money, and that's would be their interest. Trump is more of a real estate guy and a businessman that just sells widgets and garbage, to the American people.
But Trump is already rich as hell. He's already if he wants to be bought, he can't really be bought. Nobody has anything they can give him that he doesn't already have. That's just not his motivation. It's just you're not going to. And by the way, he's lived his whole life in public. For the past 30, 40 years, he's been under scrutiny from a totally different angle, of course, but his whole personal life's already been vetted. Everybody knows where his money is. Everybody knows how he got it. There's no surprises. They already know about his ex-wives. They already know about that. And he just comes down the middle, not taking money from special interests, and he has a way of talking to people because he doesn't give a shit. Mm-hmm. And it's just so refreshing. Whether he ends up being a good president or not, I think the fact that this guy could win, that alone would be worth voting for.
Yeah. I don't think there would be anything. I don't think there's such thing as a good president anymore. I just think that no matter what anybody does, the news it's either going to go the far right's going to hate him or the far left's going to hate him, and that's what's going to hit the news because of sensationalism.
Right.
Well, that's a pretty good sales pitch there for Donald Trump for all those guys that are on the line. I think Heartburn's just tipped them over.
Well, what are they going to do? Are they honestly thinking about Hillary? Seriously?
No, I don't think anyone's serious about Hillary. But I think what's your take on Trump's how did he word it? No Muslims allowed in the U.S.
No, he wanted to stop the influx of all this immigration temporarily until we can know who is coming in. I mean, it's a little salacious what he says, but it does touch on the fact that, we're just opening our borders and letting anybody in. We can't do it. It's dumb. We're watching what's happening to Europe. We're watching what's happening to London. We're watching what's happening to Sweden, and we're doing exactly the same thing.
Right. Right, yeah.
Why are we following Europe? You people started 2 world wars in less than 50 years. And I mean, we shouldn't be following Europe. Europe should be following us.
There you go, guys.
You should be following us, yeah.
I think that's just the alienated all of Heartburn's European fans there.
Yeah, the two guys, yeah. What do you guys think? Is there a black candidate in the race?
Yeah, where's the ethnic minority candidate?
Oh, they're going to get a VP. One of the VPs will be black. They'll have to add some ethnicity to the VP.
Well, I hope so.
Is that Ben Carson?
Who's
Ben Carson doesn't have a hope in hell being chosen by Trump. He's good at medicine. He should not be in politics. He's so awkward. He's just not good at it. He's a good man. He just doesn't belong in politics.
He gave the statement, which has been coming up a lot. The make slavery aid out of slavery. The man up statement that if we all just man up and we embrace our slavery, and he did it with a biblical term with what did he say? He said that. Not David, Joseph was the builder of the pyramids, and the press was like all over him, and that was his idea when he was young. So it was like make slavery aid out of slavery, and I thought, wow, that's kind of bizarre there, isn't it?
Well, let's hit on something more closer to home and less debatable. I mean, what's your guys' opinion on what's going on in Oregon? I mean, a bunch of guys that they're down there fighting for the right. Surely that's an issue close to our hearts, isn't it?
Yeah, Oregon.
I have a little bit of a conspiracy theory about that, if I can put it out there.
Shoot.
First of all, this group that took over this public building, whatever it was, this wildlife refuge or whatever the hell it was, they took this over. They really didn't even have anything to do with the people that were actually being imprisoned for trying to protect their own land. They were kind of nobody really endorses them. I just got this thing like this is a way of turning people off to the idea of Americans forming militias, because whenever you see one, they act stupid in public. And whoever this group is, they're not even being taken seriously. They'll just let them wait it out and let them starve to death, and they'll finally come out.
I found it funny how one guy tweeted from there. He tweeted, "Would a Muslim please come and join us?" So the media would come down and check us out. Yeah, because nobody was taking them. Well, nobody was taking them as seriously as, for example, Waco or the other militias.
Yeah, right. Is that just an offshoot of the Bundy Ranch thing, where the government needs to do, and it's probably another conspiracy that the government needs to clean that mess up so people don't mention it. So they'll do an offshoot, and then it tapers down, and no one thinks about it anymore.
Right. I mean, there's actually on the part of government, there is something of a concern that Americans, because that's our history in this country. In the 1800s and earlier than that, we were a nation of citizens that were all in militias. Any able-bodied man was a part of some kind of militia. That was just normal. And the militias were called upon by the military from time to time. And it was just a normal part of American life. And we've lost all of that. That's what now we're talking about gun control and all this shit. And when you see Americans returning more to a militia type of mentality, you see government wanting to do everything to stop this.
Oh, yeah.
And you see that the only versions of militias we've seen in modern times are insane wackos, cultists, rednecks in military gear, all stereotypical people, but just not regular people are being seen as being logical candidates or logical participants in some kind of a local militia.
Well, there's been a lot of feeling over in the US. I mean, it's certainly noticeable. A lot of guys, they're so disillusioned and disenfranchised with the entire situation, not only with men, but with the entire situation over there in the US. I mean, whether you're black or white or somewhere in between, a lot of people are pissed off over there, and they're ready to shoot to kill. They're ready to rise up and start shooting at the police, at the government, at the military. I mean, surely.
That goes to show you the average American's mentality when it comes to the intrusions of government. We have far less tolerance to that than you do in Europe. Those of you in Europe, you're under way more control and way more manipulation than we are over here. But you can see how Americans tend to respond to it. We want to fight. We resent this shit.
I think
at least there's enough of us here that are resistant. A lot of Americans are all for it. They want to be like Europe. But there's so many Americans over here which constantly are being portrayed as being backwards and rednecks and racists and unintelligent, but it's just the average American that just can't handle having a king. We just can't stand it, and it's just not in our nature. And there's enough people, they will rise up, they will take on militias. You know, if you keep pushing them. And this gun control shit.
You know, I think it's high time. You know, the type of shit that's going on. I mean, you can't go from one place to another without getting harassed or molested or getting some checked or having some government official check your papers or check your license or some shit like that. No, it's certainly the sentiments are being carried over in Europe as well. I mean, we've had Greece, we've had Iceland, the people that have literally overthrown the government, and they've got a completely new government over in Iceland, I think, and Spain as well. You know, when the people decided, you know what, we're going to have a completely different direction with our government. And I think in the UK, the government, even though they're not saying anything, I'm pretty sure they are shit scared that something serious is going to kick off, because certainly I've noticed, certainly on the ground level, the police are a lot more standoffish now. You know, whereas before they just jump right in and start whacking people around the head. I've noticed that the police are a lot more careful before they start kicking people in the teeth. And I'm sure if we had guns over in the UK, we would have been shooting the police already.
We got to flood UK
guns over there.
Yeah, you got. We got to flood UK with guns.
Well, let me ask you a question, Shiny. Let me ask you: are you living in England?
Yeah, I'm living in England. Yes.
Well, okay. So you're familiar. Is London as bad as they say it is, as far as the gentrification that's going on there, or is that kind of what I'm hearing over in America? It sounds like the foreign population is just displacing all of the natural.
No, don't believe that in the slightest. That's
okay. That's why I'm asking.
That's very, very exaggerated.
Okay, good.
London has always been probably the most metropolitan place in all of UK. It doesn't represent, just as me and Joe always say, New York does not represent the rest of US. New York's very cosmopolitan, so is London. It's true, in London you get areas where white is the minority, but these are specific areas, you know, where either Africans or Asians have all decided to move into this certain area, and they're normally the really poor areas. You know, when immigrants come to a country, they normally don't have very much money, so they tend to concentrate in the poor areas. Now the thing is, you can't then go and complain, oh, it's the genocide of all the white people, because the white people have left that area. You know, you can't leave the area and say, oh, look, all the blacks are moving.
Yeah, that's white flight. That's what we call white flight in America. It just the inner city areas get saturated with immigrants, because generally the immigrant offices are right in the inner cities, so they look for the buildings and and then it just kind of goes out for there. And then the white people generally become progressively upwardly mobile.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the longer a people stay in a country, normally the more settled they become, the more wealthy they become. Right. But these things are easy to check. I mean, just go onto the, Wikipedia. If it's one thing that they do get right, it's the population statistics, and they'll tell you that England is 96% white. Scotland is 98% white. Wales is 95% white. You know, it's still a very white place. It's UK.
Sounds wonderful.
Just kidding. But like I said, it's exaggerated. I don't know why the government are not replying to this, because they could easily just rebuke these accusations that, you know, there's a white genocide going. I mean, it's very. I mean, the fact that the fire service in the UK, a lot of guys in the UK don't even know this, but there was a strike. There was a fire strike. You know, that the firefighters, they decided they were going to strike, but because of something that Tony Blair did, and all Tony Blair did was tell them they needed to have more ethnic minorities in their fire service, and the fact was the fire service was something like 98% white. It was the least representative of the ethnic minorities, and they had a strike because of this. And then all the UK said, oh, we need to support our firefighters, but they didn't know why they were striking in the first place. And obviously the police force as well is something that's been under fire I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I think in the US you've got more black police officers per ratio than we do in the UK. I mean, I think if you're a white supremacist, I think UK would certainly look very attractive. I certainly do not understand why the government, the UK government in the least, are not replying or rebuking to this
Oh yeah.
accusation. There's a
Did you ever look at the saturation of police departments in the United States compared to the saturation of police departments in Britain, England, and Japan?
no.
How many police departments you have
What you mean in England or the UK?
in England? Yeah, I thought it was like 59 right now.
Yeah, it's something like that. That's easy to check.
Yeah. Do you know how many we have?
What in the US, the entire
Yeah.
US?
Yeah.
I don't
We
know.
have over 21,000.
There you go.
It's just a huge saturation of police departments, and it's become a social system almost to become a police officer. We don't have central. What you would consider your central police. It would be like, say, in the city of Cleveland, they have a central police officer, a police area, and then that would take care of all of Cuyahoga County. And that's how it would work in England, and that's how it would work in Japan. Not here. Every one of those little cities have these huge police departments. Uh, I mean, a town like Bedford, and Newburgh Heights, they all have these huge, 6, 8, 10, 12, up to $30 million buildings. Probably $30 million to build a police department now. But every single city has it, and it don't seem to matter to these people how small the city is now. They just want a police department.
Oh, so each little city, each little county, each little state wants their own
Yeah,
police department.
each little city, and it's almost like we have right between we have two police departments, and then we have what in a rural area in between you get, and it's not a very big area. It's maybe 120,000 people. We have two huge police departments, $60-70 million police departments, and in between we get the state mounties. And it's like, geez, everywhere you go, there's a cop.
Yeah, I think the police are getting a bit of a reputation at the moment. I mean, there hasn't been a single police officer that's been convicted for any of the little. I say littles, but I mean, let's face it, it's murder. Police officer turns up at a scene and he starts shooting before anybody's even said a word. Yeah, I mean, over the UK.
Yeah. Half the news in my county here is police officers doing something stupid in the local news, and this is stuff you'll never hear about on Google or anything. But if you just start checking the local news around your area, half the news is a police officer getting caught with prostitute or selling drugs or stealing, or
Wow.
that's like half the news.
I know in the UK, the certainly in the senior positions, the police, they are part of some say this the Freemasons. There's some part of some secret society, to be head of the police in or a police department in the UK. You need to be part of some type of sorority. But I don't know how it is over in the US. I imagine it's the same thing. They probably got the stonecutters.
Yeah, what do they got over here? I don't know what the actual Masons or Illuminati or what they belong to. I know they all kind of the Fraternal Order of Police, and they all got these rings that they wear. Do you notice that where you're at, Heartburn?
Well, they got their own ring for some kind of brotherhood or whatever it is.
Brotherhood, yeah. I see. I got two buddies that are cops, and they come around all the time. And their ring looks more. I have a Mason ring, and it looks a lot like my Mason ring. I was like,
I mean, it's not difficult to do. I mean, if you're like a lieutenant or you're some senior police officer, you can just get together with other senior police officers or even judges and say, "Oh, guys, let's just hang out," and then you say, "You know what? Let's look after each other's back. If something happens, let's not let our brother down." I mean, that's not difficult to do.
Yeah, we know how history works on that Knight of Longswords,
Yeah.
With,
So what else has been news over where you guys are at?
Oh, let me see the elections. Who else was in news? I barely even try to touch on the news. If I do it once a week, it's like almost like gritting my teeth. And that's where I found the Ben Carson story. I was trying to read up on that. Uh, yeah, it's all about Trump now. It's all about the Kardashians and Trump, you know.
Now, what's going on with the Kardashians? Have they finally taken off their makeup?
Yeah. Oh, last night I was watching the football game between Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Was quite a violent game. Did you watch that, Vern?
I didn't see it.
You didn't
I heard
see
it was good.
Oh God, it was violent. They were just knocking each other the fuck out, and I could see where Ann Coulter was like, she was probably horrified, and the liberals were probably horrified watching that game because they were just going at it like men, and but somewhere during that they put up the Kardashians commercial, "What is Khloe doing?" and "Is she a bitch?" And they start all that garbage that they put up there, and what was it? One was saying, "You're not ladylike enough."
That's been all over these days. Just not ladylike. Yeah, it's 47 police departments in England.
That's what I thought. 47. Yeah. That's minuscule. We have 40. Bern, I bet you have 47 police departments in your general area.
I live in a normal small town, and the police department's like a mile from where I live, right on the same road as where I live. You wouldn't believe the way their cars look. They look like military vehicles with these big racks on the front end.
Oh yeah.
You know why?
Like they're the army is coming through your neighborhood. The way that police interface with the public nowadays, they're not servants of the public anymore. They're not protectors of the public. They're harassers. Even though a lot of they're good people on the police department here. I got my neighbor's a canine unit guy, but the way the whole institution is being positioned. It's definitely a confrontational organization anymore.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, the police are supposed to serve the public, but you know why they've got all that military hardware?
Yeah, it's the laws, the drug laws, and
it's because after the Iraq War, all that ordnance that the government had purchased for the Iraq invasion, they didn't use most of it, so they brought it back and they sold it all to the police departments.
Yeah.
One police department bought something like 36,000 sabers. Sabers that you put on the end of a rifle.
Yeah, I was reading that story. Yeah, I was like, why do you need a saber?
Could you imagine the police putting sabers on the end of their rifles?
Yeah, like why don't you get a samurai sword?
I know. Really silly things going on.
Oh yeah, it is. So yeah, Twine Dog says we have more than 47 in Ohio. We have if I was to bet how many police departments we had at the simple little state of Ohio, which is like hillbilly heaven, we have probably as many, 2 in each county, two large cities in each county. That would be like 400 police departments at least, maybe even more, 500.
Yeah, well. Okay, so you were talking about the Cincinnati game, was you? And how? Well, actually, Ann Coulter supports the American football. She says it's a more war game. She says sports that promote war are good. So men, sports that are very aggressive.
Yeah. They were headhunting last night. I was kind of cringing myself a little bit because they were taking it way too far. The Burfict, he came across and he just hit Antonio Brown, and I thought it was a clean and legal hit, but he spun him around his head. He went to the ground, passed out for a while, and then they went after Ben Roethlisberger, put him out of the game, and that all started with a spearing hit that they lost the ball on, and from the inception of the game, they were squaring off in the middle of the field, just kind of like staring at, and the referees had to get between them before the game because they just wanted to fight, and that was it. And it was like, oh well, this is kind of old school football, where they show up on the muddy field of dreams and you know, two rival towns just beat the hell out of each other until one wins.
Well, that's why ice hockey's so popular.
Oh, ice hockey, yeah, that's a vicious sport, isn't it? Canadians got it all going on with that.
It's sort of like mixed martial arts
Yeah,
with the ball.
yeah, they're allowed to fight, and that ice is hard. I played hockey. Did you play hockey when you were a kid, Bern?
Just a little bit when I lived in
bit.
New York. Not much
Oh,
though.
God. The first time you hit that ice, you're like, heck with this.
Yeah.
There is no padding, and it hurts, and it's
Yeah.
cold, and you get them little burns, the ice burns on your arm and everything. It's like, man, that's some rough sport.
Well, speaking of rough sports, anybody that watched the UFC match would know just what a robbery that was, man.
Connor.
Condit versus Lawler,
Okay.
a match for the belt. That was everybody was saying that Lawler won that one, but the judges, because it went the distance and it went to Lawler, but I think everybody agreed that Condit beat Lawler in that match. I think anyone who watches it, you'll just see Condit for 25 minutes punching Lawler, punching and kicking him for 25 minutes. And then the judges right at the end of round 5 award the victory to Lawler, and it just goes to show, judges corrupt as anything.
Where was that fight being held? Was it in America? Was it which?
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was in America. Let me just check which state.
That matters. That matters where it was, because those judges are provided by the state if it's in Las Vegas. I'm sure that most of the states in America are the same way. It's a governmental thing. Can you imagine? The government actually gets in and starts refereeing fucking sports, and you can't have a fighting association in Nevada without them providing judges.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Is that what happened to boxing? Why boxing is so...
Boxing started that,
Yeah, because what's his name with the hair?
Don
King, yeah. But as soon as the government stepped in, boxing has tailed off so much. There is no Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali no more.
Right.
You don't get good fighters anymore. The matches I watch now, and I used to be into boxing when I was a kid. The Mike Tyson era was that, and that was big, huge, and you had Spinks and Tyson and just a lot of really great fighters, and it was so exciting. And then after that, it just seemed to tail off, where the rules started and the refereeing started to become too much for the sport, and it just wasn't exciting anymore. And then MMA came around, and they didn't have those same rules.
I just checked it. It was actually in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Las Vegas, yeah.
Then that's what it was. Those judges are actually government employees, if you can put it that way. That's I mean, it's so stupid that Dana White of the UFC cannot put on a UFC event in the state of Nevada without the government officiating the thing with their judges. It's so stupid.
It's a disaster. I mean, I've already said that these judges they go on the betting revenue. So whoever is in their interests to win, where they'll cover their biggest losses. That's who they'll decide, and we see it time and again. And I think that's the biggest complaint with MMA fans, the fact that the judges are so corrupt.
Yeah. Isn't this kind of like a recipe for the Roman games? Because people will get sick of that sport, and then what's the next violent sport without rules? It'll be like what do they call the katana fighting, or sword fighting, or something. They're going to bring on something that they feel is unregulated, and then that'll be the next big exciting sport.
I don't think it'll go beyond MMA. I mean, if we start bringing out katanas and men start chopping each other's arms and legs off, there won't be any street fight.
People will be shocked. It's the shock value, because MMA. When the first time you see an MMA, were you like shocked?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was, but it wasn't until something like UFC 8, I think, because I actually watched it right from the beginning. I actually watched UFC 1.
That's what I saw. I saw them on
Shamrock and those guys,
Gracie.
Hoist.
Oh,
Yeah, who's facing
yeah.
you?
When they started pounding each other on the head and it wasn't stopping, and you're like, well, that guy's getting damaged now. It's not like boxing. And then they stopped it, and the guy was just laying there. You were like, oh, that is a
Oh,
violent
it
sport.
still gets quite queasy. I mean, when Lawler fought McDonald a few like a month ago, I mean, McDonald's face was just bloodied. His face was plastered. You know, his nose was bent like crooked, and blood was just pouring down out of all the cracks on his face. He had a cut over his eyes. His eyes were swollen down to the point he couldn't see. And Lawler just kept on punching him in his face, and it just hurt him so bad. He just decided to lie on the floor. You know, he didn't knock him out. He was hurt, so he just started lying on the floor. I mean, this I think he's like 21 years old. You know, tough as nails. This McDonald guy, but he was just covered in blood. He was just and obviously in between rounds they clean him up, so they wipe off all the blood, and then a few seconds later the bell rings and his blood pouring down his chest and over his shoulders because he's just it's a mess. And then you see it all over the floor as well, all over the octagon, and they're like walking around on blood. It's
Yeah, I
quite
mean, that's
messy.
gladiator stuff there too. I think the public wants more violent, and with Ann Coulter thing and that stuff. With the liberals, they're like, no, we want less violent sports like macrame weaving and basket making, and who can make the best,
Basket making sports,
Yeah, like the ribbon. We're gonna do the ribbon stuff and ice skating, girls
the
ice
ribbon
skating.
dance.
Yeah, the
Oh,
ribbon dance. But people in general want that gladiator stuff, and I just see it as it will progressively work up to whether they're sword fighting again.
but would we watch? I mean, would you guys watch like unarmed sword fighting? Would you guys watch it?
I'd probably watch just to see it, but I would morally object to it. I would.
You're just trying to be PC there.
I just gotta see it.
It would be that initial shock value, the same as the MMA. Then you would get used to it, you would get desensitized to it, and then you'd want to be like, I got to see this again.
That's right. And that's what happened with UFC.
I'm happy with UFC. I don't need anything worse. I like UFC the way it is. I don't need any more violence than that. I just think it's a real sport compared to some of these other pussy ass things people are doing and calling them athletics.
Oh yeah, I like extreme sports, and there's a push for extreme sports. Even skateboarding, surfing, bicycle. The what do you call those little bikes that they use?
Unicycles.
Yeah, unicycle jumps. That would be cool.
Oh, yeah, you guys haven't seen anything until you've seen Morris dancing. Where's messages to back me up? You guys, boy, I've never heard of Morris dancing, but and I think MMA has improved a whole lot. I mean, the fact that this guy Conor McGregor comes along, he's not a grappler, he's not someone that breaks your arms and legs. He's a 100%. He's a taekwondo karate guy. He's a kung fu guy. He's a guy who relies solely on punches and kicks, and he's got a bit of flair in there. And the fact that he's beating guys that are Brazilian jiu-jitsu experts, it just goes to show you that the sport is constantly evolving, and any guy can just come along and just be the champion if you've got the skill, if you've got the dedication. You can take part in MMA. I think it's a great sport personally.
Yeah, I like it. I really like MMA, and there should be forced breeding there too. McGregor should have to mate with Ronda Rousey.
Absolutely. I think to make the ultimate. I think in a more authoritarian government, I think that's what they do. If the government completely took over MMA, they probably would. Let's breed a really good gladiator.
Yeah, they'll start breeding the gladiators back in the day. They had to mate with the perfect female specimen, which sometimes isn't beauty. Beauty and physical strength have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, I mean, you could end up with a Chris Cyborg.
Cyborg. I think that's why they did have them. God.
You could end up with Orlovsky mating with Chris Cyborg and getting I don't know, some big time mutant.
A big time mutant wrestler. That would be
green and nasty and bad smells.
Oh,
Bad
God.
BO.
Oh, wait a second, that's me.
Yeah. Oh, we've got a guy called Anti-PUA on the
Anti-PUA.
front.
Gotta love an anti-PUA. I think we all are sort of anti-PUA around Mgtow lately. And that was Messenger's original message to kind of today, that there are inherent risks to this thing, guys. Please, you know, you
Yeah,
know,
I've yet to see, looking forward to watching that video later. But yeah, there's been a little bit of a tussle recently between the anti-PUA and the pro-PUA Mgtow. I don't know. What's your view on this, Heartburn? I don't think I've heard your take on it.
On the P. Well, I'm not against PUAs. I'm definitely. I don't like the idea of bending over backwards to get laid. I don't think that that's the right position for a man. We need to learn that about ourselves. Let them do the jumping around and let them do the tricks to get to us. I just don't like the putting pussy at the center of their philosophy like that. But I'm not against anybody. It's not for me.
there's two PUAs too here, isn't there? There's a Mgtow PUA, and then there's a PUA. And the PUA always centers around more and more and more and more and more women. And the Mgtow PUA centers around the man himself, about, you know, just building confidence, and which is needed in business, confident, and being you know, the male, that archetype male kind of guy that can, if he wanted to, but has the restraint to say no. More than 80%, 90% of these girls out here are not worthy of being with me. I think that's
Right.
Mgtow PUA, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, let the girls chase us. Like I said, man, I haven't seen a good-looking girl in so long. That would I actually, maybe half a year ago, one walked by me and smiled at me at a restaurant, and I thought, well, that would be one that would be interesting to chase. Do the game, let the chase begin. Put on a little PUA, Mgtow PUA on that, and see if it could work. The walls are very far and few between, and it's more about the man. It's more about how I feel about myself, how confident I am, where I can take this into business, how I can take this into just on the streets, respect from people. There's two different things. PUA, the way the PUAs see it, the actual PUA gang, is kind of creepy, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I sort of thought that's what Mgtow was. It was like we were getting away from gynocentrism. A lot of the gynocentrism is based around the fact that men, virtually they worship women. They'll do anything. They'll do anything to get in a female approval. They'll embarrass themselves. They'll spend everything they've got. They'll sell out their friends. They'll sell out their family. Especially simps and white knights. And I thought, well, that's what we came to Mgtow for. I don't know though. I wouldn't draw the line and say, well, if you're having sex, you're not Mgtow. I wouldn't say that. I don't know. I'm on the fence on this one.
Yeah, but every true Mgtow is gonna look at it and go, the inherent risks of this is far outweigh any pluses you can get, and we don't talk about our sexual conquest because we see that as being validated by.
Oh wait, didn't you come across a little love interest for Steve Hoker? It's like I saw this little link that you posted up, and then it disappeared.
Yeah, that young girl, she was like, she looked to be about 24. She was over Steve.
She wasn't bad. She wasn't. But I think I was thinking, this is goodbye to Steve Hoker.
yeah. She wanted to rape. She would have raped Steve, I think.
Yeah, it was titled Steve Hoker, my dear Steve Hoker, or something.
Yeah.
That was very sweet.
That was sweet. She made one comment on my video, one of my videos. I can't remember her name even. Nice little girl.
Yeah. Whoever you are, show yourself. Give Steve a chance.
Yeah. All we are asking is give Steve a chance.
Yeah,
You
give
know.
Steve a chance. Oh, let love blossom.
Oh my
But,
God.
but
Yeah.
on a serious note, though, I think that there is something that's going on. It's like guys are coming to Mgtow, and as soon as they get a girlfriend, they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going on with that?
That's the backsliding your way, the slow walk out of MGTOW. You come around, and I see it. You know, it's okay to take on the MGTOW philosophy, uh, but if you're going to be a producer, consider that you can't backslide out, because it would be a politician that you know, if you're a Democrat and you decide to be a Democrat and you decide to take that as a life calling, you can't turn to Republican halfway through, because you're going to offend everybody, and that's what you do when you take on. If you want to be a commenter or a person around MGTOW that just supports him and then goes away after he gets what he wants, that's fine. That's what we do here, isn't it?
I think
Uh,
I think there's two issues. I think if you're a Mgtow and let's face it, if your channel's quite big, say you've got over 1,000 subscribers and you're talking about, women are bitches and women they're all the same and stuff like that. Number one, you don't want your girlfriend watching that because she's gonna not like it,
no.
and number two, your conscience is going to work on you as well. You're going to say, well, I can't honestly make a video about women when I'm, courting and addressing one. I mean, well, what about you, Heartburn? I mean, if you had a girl, if you all of a sudden found a nice girl, had a girlfriend, would you shut your channel down? Would you close your channel?
No, I think he's muted out. I think he said he was going to get a cup of tea, and that sounds
Well,
good, actually.
well, we'll ask him when he gets back,
Yeah,
because
we do.
Heartburn, he has said that he's not ruled out the possibility of ever getting hitched up and having a family. So it'll be interesting to see what he says, because his channel has grown
Oh yeah, he
quite
has.
considerably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We'll check him out from that.
yeah. So what is that? Yeah, a messenger gave quite a quality brotherly advice in his video. Yeah, a messenger hits it on, and he hits it on the nail on the head. Uh, you know, we take the one side of the bar, not because we hate, and not because it's just that we see the inherent risk in it, and we don't want any of these men. I don't want to see a guy around here come around and say, "Oh, geez, I got a kid now. I'm the slave for the next 17 years, 18, 20," and that doesn't end. It doesn't end after. If these guys think that you can get away with it for 18 years, no, no. I've got a 28, 24-year-old son, a 19-year-old son, and this is for the rest of your life.
I don't know. It seems like there's some people that's not paying attention. They're saying, there's no harm in the PUA. I mean, the PUA we're talking about is, Volo Tomasi, Rouge V. When you're investing a lot of your energy into, picking up girls, and they're saying, well, there's no harm in it. Well, let's just look at Chris Gale, who
Yeah.
just got publicly humiliated for asking a woman out on a date. And he got a $10,000 fine as well. So,
Yeah, on national TV, he might as well have slipped and got down on his knees. You
yeah,
know, hey
he might
baby.
he might as well he might as well like produce some flowers and some chocolates and just started molesting her, on public TV.
Yeah, remember the 60s and 70s when simps would used to do that on public TV?
Yeah,
It's
wow.
like, that is so. It was like, oh.
We're trying to save guys from this, aren't we? We're trying to save guys from this humiliation. I mean, that guy that bought his girlfriend 100 iPhones as an apology for something that really he shouldn't have been sorry about anyway. And then there's that other guy that that went, well, that's that other guy. There's all those videos of those guys on their knees and begging their girlfriends to come back.
Yeah, the runner-up for a Mangina of the Year last year was what was it, the Chinese guy that was on his knees in front of the girl, and she was like just verbally assaulting him, and the
Yeah, in public,
girlfriends
on the street.
were verbally assaulting him, and the guy was still simping there, and that's a disease at that point. That's a sickness at that point. Uh, I think and it's the psychiatric community kind of giggles and laughs and goes, "Oh, he's just in love." No, he's sick. He needs help. He needs to be put away for a little bit and get that whatever's in his system out of that so he can function in the society normally. Because obviously that's what the difference between mentally ill and normal is, whether you can function in society normally. And that cat could not do it. And a lot of men I see cannot function in society normally because they're overly PUA. They're always searching about getting men, getting women, some of them getting men, sorry about that. It becomes a preoccupation in their mind that they have to do this 100% of the time, and it is mentally unhealthy. And it's the difference.
We've got 2 questions now for Heartburn. Did you hear our question before you left? Heartburn?
Well, I heard you asking about my stance on getting married. If you let me clarify that real quick. I wouldn't mind chiming in on that right now, just to kind of cement what my position on that is, because I'm 43 years old. I have never married. I have no children. So it's not like I'm inclined to just, get myself knee-deep in some woman that's going to destroy me later on. I'm not that way. But I was chiming in on this argument that goes on all the time in Mgtow about, are all women evil? Are some of them evil? This, that. Now, all I've said is my position is this. I can't say that all women in the world are not marryable because I haven't met them all. And no one can show me any data that would safely categorize them all the same. Therefore, I'm at least open to the very narrow, probably impossible probability that I would meet a woman worthy of making children with in the future. And I'm resigned to the likelihood that that will never happen, and I'm fine with it. And I live my life going forward in the future without any plans for having a wife in the future. I'm living my life as a Mgtow or as a single man, and I'm fine with it. That's all I can say about that. I'm not going to play this all women are evil game with people because it's intellectually dishonest to say that. But I'm very cautious with women. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, we were just on the issue of Mgtow channels that close down as soon as they get a girlfriend. I mean, normally what happens is they are disillusioned with women, but they compromise, as we do. It's like they meet a pretty girl and they say, I'll give her a chance, and she says the right things, and and I was, I was just asking the question, if you had a girlfriend, would you shut your channel down?
Now, if I had a girlfriend, I would say so. I would continue to make videos. I'm still a Mgtow. Just because if I had a girlfriend doesn't mean I'm not a Mgtow, right? Or does that make sense?
Does it disqualify you? No,
well, it depends on what you mean by girlfriend. If you mean like a live-in companion that I'm as good as married to, well, then I think that disqualifies me. But if I have a girl I'm seeing on a regular basis, that I don't know. I don't think that's a big deal. I would share that with the public. I don't care.
Yeah, but it's like when some of these channels they do get girlfriends. It's like they do close down, or certainly their content certainly stops. And I was saying it's probably one of 2 things, if not both. Number one, that they're feeling guilty about their content because obviously it is quite, for lack of words, it's slightly misogynistic, some of the things we say. And number 2, they don't want their girlfriends to find out. I mean, certainly some of the things we say on here is not for number 1, either our mothers or our sisters to listen to, and obviously they take their channel down just in case.
Yeah. Well, I don't have that problem. If I ever dated a woman, I would not be at all apologetic of the things that I say in my videos. In fact, she would hear a lot of it from me, and she'd have to put up with it. I wouldn't back off of that.
I don't know. That sounds like tough talk.
Yeah. No, that's how I do it too. A lot of females, in my life. I'm not saying there's a lot of females in my life, but the females that are in my life, friends, sisters, friends of friends, and everything. I don't talk to them any differently, and they do get offended. And that's okay because that's what I do. That's what I am, and I don't see it as misogynistic. From the inception, I don't see it as misogynistic. I see it as the truth.
Oh, I don't care. I don't care if I get called misogynistic. I don't care. In fact, I'd wear it as a badge. In fact, if I had a sticker or a T-shirt that said misogynist on, I'd wear it.
Yeah, yeah. I think they label us.
Who
It's
cares? It's like you're gonna shame me into what? Not getting married, or you're gonna what? Tell my wife or my girlfriend this? What are you gonna do? You can't get arrested or get a criminal record for being. There's no like crime entitled misogyny.
no, there isn't. Yeah, if you did have a woman around and you were she's doing the whining thing where she wants to go out and get a burger, and you go, okay, but you're paying. Uh, I mean, if she didn't accept that, if you had to even explain that to her, oh, otherwise we could sit on a couch and watch, the TV or whatever, that would be fine. But if it's as soon as it comes to, I have to buy the burger, that's the lead into what else do I have to buy in life for you to keep you around.
I
They
think.
should accept that. That's just common sense.
Yeah, well, the word misogyny gets bandied around easily these days. I mean, I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, I don't think anyone can accuse Mgtow of advocating violence to women. I mean, none of us, as far as I know, none of the channels except for maybe perhaps Sexy Mgtow. He always gets a bad press, doesn't he? I mean, none of us has advocated harming women or violence to women. I mean, I think the only violence we probably might suggest is to the police when they stop us. When they try to prevent us from doing the things that we've got a right to do.
Right, yeah, yeah. When the bed bugs get into your living in that point, and that's the risk of it. That the police thugs are going to come around, remove you from your house, or she's going to start acting all freaking nuts, start throwing shit. You're going to call the police, and then they're going to take you away instead of the crazy person.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, but I just wondered why Mgtow channels they close down as soon as they get girlfriends. It's like Barbarossa didn't. I mean, he's got a girlfriend. He kept on going.
But he ain't made a video in 3 months now, 4 months almost.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. I said number two is his conscience. He's worked on his conscience. He
I was
feels
going to invite
guilty
him in
about it.
today and see. I seen his little green light lit up, and I was going to
Oh,
invite him in.
he's probably watching right now. He's probably having a little
Yeah,
listen. What are them guys saying about me then?
yeah. We love Barbarossa. He knows we love him. But
Yeah.
I see. But I didn't know if he's a very busy man now. He's got this shedding of the ego. He's got his things. He's writing his book. Can you imagine the stresses on that guy?
I think he's at college as well. I think he's
And
doing
he's
some
at
type of
college.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. Well, Baba, if you're listening, we don't have anything against you. So if you want to jump in and curse everybody, it's fine with us. Fine with us.
I never heard Barbara curse anybody. Have you?
I know that's the irony.
Yeah, that's like, I never heard him even get mad. He's very well mannered, well tempered. I'd like to see him get mad at someone. I don't know who that would be. Probably me, but
well, that's his best. I think his best videos is when he's most passionate. Obviously, his early stuff.
yeah, his early stuff when he was more passionate and there was like that vitriol. Just it was like that you could see he had a disdain for whatever he was talking about.
No, you could hear it in his voice, in his
Yeah,
expressions, and that's the kind of thing people take notice of. That's why Malcolm X was so big. He was described as the angriest black man in America, and then the media cottoned onto that, and obviously it's a real crowd pleaser when a man screaming angry. I mean, it's a real head turner when there's like a big yelling match in the middle of the street.
Oh yeah, he ain't the angriest black man in America now. I think that who would that Attican? No.
No, Adigan's pretty
Attican's pretty smooth. Who's the one that's really he's like angry.
I am Bal.
I am. Oh no, I am's cool. I like I am. I like I am.
What? Where's I forget his name. There's a few more as well, but yeah, I mean, guys I like to see people talking passionately about the things they believe. I think we as men, I know this is a bit of a stereotype. We tend to bottle things in, don't we? We tend not to just let steam off.
Yeah. Yeah, letting
But
Steve.
we haven't traditionally had a place where we can get together and talk as men like this, have we? This is kind of,
That's right.
Right, yeah.
you know, so what's wrong with us? I think when we have forums like this for us to conversate, yeah, men are going to blow up once in a while. That's part of the dynamic of men. We're big, we're powerful, we blow shit up, we fix it, we build new, yeah, I think it's great that we have a place where we can come, and it's okay for us to blow a stack once in a while. You know, we accept that from each other.
Some of the best videos are the ones when men are getting angry. I mean, I think the reason why Messenger was so big was his first videos were very passionate. I mean, women disgrace, excellent video. I think it's his top video, isn't it? And then obviously when Barbarossa came on, he was very passionate. I think Turfling Monkey, when he came on, even though he didn't sound it, I mean, his language was very passionate.
Oh yeah, yeah. Swine Dog says Barbar got pissed and called. Yeah, I remember that thing with Rockin' Mystery E. He was a little bit mad at Rockin' Mystery E. Well, who's not mad at Rockin' Mystery E? That guy's he's a punk.
Is he a Mgtow that walking? Is he that Welsh guy with the long hair?
Yeah, he plays the guitar riff and like, you know, before every one of his videos. I don't even know if he's around. He does psychoanalysis of everything.
Oh, he's an amateur, isn't he? He's a bit of an amateur. Yeah. So Rocky Mr. E, if you're listening to us, we're calling you out. If you dare, you dare reply or come on, then we're ready. We'll take you on.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want him in the room. Geez. we had an invite. I thought that we were gonna do one person in here today, but I just reconsidered. I don't want to do that. That arguing thing.
Let's keep it. A manly.
Yeah. Hey, we got Messenger in the room. Let's introduce Messenger.
Peace, brother.
Oh, that's nice. It makes me feel welcome.
Have you been listening in?
I did, yeah. I've just been cooking, doing manly stuff, cooking.
Yeah,
Cooking?
a bit of cooking.
What you
Put your
cooking?
apron on.
Oh, just man food.
Crock pot, meat.
Meat.
Just
I
meat.
don't eat vegetables. I don't eat any carbs.
Yeah, forget carbs. That's a waste of space in your stomach.
Yeah.
I showed you guys what I had yesterday, didn't I?
I don't know.
Yeah,
What did you have?
My
Oh,
neighbor.
yeah. Spanish rice.
Yeah, my neighbor lady.
Oh,
she ran me over a plate. It was so sweet.
Oh, you see?
I'm almost out of Mgtow now, aren't I?
Yeah. You're on that border, brother.
Oh, heartburn. Excellent video. Your last video.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Did you get much heat for that? Because I know it seemed to trigger some people because the issue of abortion, but if they saw past that, you know, it was I don't think anyone's ever spoken about that before.
Yeah, well, I've gotten a little bit. Well, it's only been out for a couple of hours, like half a day so far. So once it gets at like 1,000 views or so, it'll have a little bit more to judge it by. But yeah, the number of downvotes I've gotten is disproportionate to what I normally get, and I've got a couple of really nasty messages, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, the issue of abortion is a totally separate issue, and I as I said in the video, I respect people who have an ethic against abortion altogether. So just turn the video off. But and that's what a lot of people are wanting to argue. I'm not going to argue that with them if they are against abortion. But beyond that, I don't think anybody has any valid argument against what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it was a video just about accepting responsibility and looking at the whole picture. You know, these are the consequences of your actions if you're going to indulge in that sort of behavior. And you need to consider pregnancy. You need to consider the fact that there could be a child involved, and you know, accept some responsibility. But yeah, I thought it was a great video.
Yeah, well, I didn't make it clear enough in the video. Now that I'm thinking about it, that video isn't necessarily just to Mgtow. I mean, it's just to men in general. There are a lot of people going to watch that video that are never going to be Mgtow, and that's just relevant advice to any man anywhere. You know, I mean, obviously, we as Mgtow, we at least ought to be a little more intelligent in the way we deal with women. And it's certainly not inviting men to go off and just have sex haphazardly. And it's okay. Don't worry, you'll get an abortion. I certainly am not implying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We look at the statistics of condoms, and they say 10%. I don't know how true that is. Are going to break. So that means if you have sex 10 times, there's going to be a 1/10 chance that you're going to have a child. That's pretty scary. That is real scary. And then you're going to have to go through that. Well, your choice as a male, your choice is invalid as a male. You say have an abortion, and then she says no, I'm keeping it, and now you're the slave.
That's exactly right. The point of that video, really more than anything, and a couple of other videos I made, is to hammer home to a young man. Nothing anyone ever told any of us when we were kids in sex education. No one told us, men, don't get her pregnant because she will own you. No one dared to say that, and they should have.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the point. These things are going to happen. And with the PUA, these things are going to happen. That if you're involving yourself in that, that there is going to be a child. But it goes back to that: should men have abortion rights? Also, at that point, you should be able to enact your right to abort. And I know a lot of people go, well, that's just they're going to do the man up shit and take responsibility for what you did. No, from the inception, I put a condom on, and just by fluke of accident, by malformed condom coming out of the machine, I now have a kid. I never said I wanted a kid. I never said that this is what I was going after. I put the condom on. I said no. That was a choice. And no, and isn't that the same thing as no means no?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's indiscriminate as well. I've got friends. I've got one friend in particular who was a real player, and he, in the end, we fell out because he would fuck people's wives, and he was just a dog, But he really put it about, and he never got a woman pregnant, right up until his early 40s, and now he's actually married. And then I've got other friends who have gone on holiday or have met a girl, and on the first date they've got her pregnant. 3 or 4 friends in particular, they've done it on the first date, and another friend recently has done it on a week's holiday. He comes back and he says, oh, she lives in the next town and she's pregnant. And I said, well, what's she like? He said, I can't fucking stand her. Well, there you go.
That's a recipe for disaster.
What a horrible fucking situation to be in.
Yeah.
Horrific.
We were at work and she rang him, and you could tell she was constantly ringing him. In the end, he was screaming down the phone, and he put the phone down and he said, I wish she'd just fucking abort it. And I just looked at him and I thought, it's too fucking late for that. It doesn't matter what you wish now. You can't change this situation you're in. You've got to deal with it one way or another. And this is where I see the blurred lines between a lot of the content that gets made, and it's just internet information which is processed into a YouTube video,
right?
And the facts of the real world outside. That there's a slight skewing of the facts, and it's not presented correctly. Not that every case is exactly the same, but I don't think the harsh realities of life and what a cunt it could be to a man are presented by us all of the time in the videos. And I think some people actively look to cover that up because they don't want to face that reality. They don't want to say to people, look, it can actually happen like this, and if it does, here are the realities that you will face for the next 20 years of your life or the rest of your life.
Right.
And a lot of people are running away from that.
Do they need to print a disclaimer on a condom that says this condom is a statement of no? And when I say no, I mean no, I will not take responsibility for a child, and this is a legal disclaimer, and you sign it and then use it. Is that where we have to go with this thing?
Well, we already have that. We already have something similar to that in the example of sperm donors, men that donate their sperm to a sperm bank. Now, there's a legal protection there so that the woman that buys that sperm can't trace that sperm back to the donor. The donor has been absolved of any obligation to whatever child will be produced in the future. So we have a version of that. It's a very small example,
Yeah.
but you can see that legally we're capable as a society of excluding men who are biologically tied to a child, but we've given them the legal protection because they should not have to be involved in the upbringing of that child in any way. They should be absolved of it. And I think we can do the same thing going forward in the future. Although, my God, I don't know how the hell we would do it.
Yeah, that's sort of the MRA's job, isn't it? That's what they say their job is, to do these legal battles and involve themselves in the activism part. And then all they do is they spend time pooning feminists online, and then they wonder why Mgtow's ask them, why aren't you doing your job?
Right. Well, the reason why I'm not fond, although I don't want to dissuade anybody from being an MRA, the reason why I would never participate in the MRA type of movement is because all they're doing essentially, the way I see it, I might be wrong, but they're essentially the male version of feminism, meaning they are resorting to the same low-level form of power that feminists have no choice but to wield, because they can't create, they can't build, they can't go their own way. They have to manipulate what other people have done. And for a man to involve himself in a form of activism that is essentially reducing men down to the level of a feminist, in my view. That's why I have no regard, per se, for men's rights advocacy. I prefer a male approach, which is to take my power and leave everybody else fucked in my absence. I like that much better.
Yeah, there's real ideological things behind Mgtow. They generally don't get, but if they did their job and they stopped, spending money on parties up in Detroit and doing that stuff and really involving themselves, like I have no problem with the fathers and families people, although I do see that they're funded by HHS and they have this man up sort of thing, and I believe that's just making slavery aid out of slavery. But that's where the fight is for these guys. The fight is in the legal aspects, and that's one of the things. No means no for a man too. I would think if there was anything that we can start as an MRA or men's rights movement, is no means no for a man too. And when I put a condom on, that means no. I'm not having a child. I will not be I'm not if anything would happen, it would just be a simple sperm donor, and that's where the women need to take 100% responsibility and accountability for her actions of opening her legs. And I put that sperm on. I'm saying no, I'm not. I don't have no interest in making a baby. That's where the legal aspect of it should be. But the MRAs fail us on. I just got this huge. If we're gonna do mailbag later, maybe I'll read it for you guys. Letter about how I should just man up, take responsibility, and they often come to us with that. They automatically telling themselves and derive some anti-male view about that. Anytime you get into the conversation of sex, they're just going to say, well, you're just a deadbeat dad, and they're going to use the shaming language, the deadbeat dad thing, and say them things. And all you're saying is, no, I deserve the rights that every female has. And no means no, and I can have financial abortion if I want it, and I can live my life the same way any female can live their lives, and that becomes equality in my eyes.
Yeah, until that happens.
Two things we would need. I mean, right. What we're talking about here is the obvious necessity for male birth control. Like, really?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, my God, that would be the greatest thing in the world. But beyond that, I mean, there's a possibility here in the future for what we would call a pre-conjugal agreement. In other words, if a man and a woman are deciding to have sex, they are already hammering out legally what their designation is going forward. And since the woman has all the cards, it's really, frankly, her responsibility to keep herself from getting pregnant.
Right.
And if she does get pregnant, you're fucked, sweetheart.
Fucked.
You're
so fucked.
And there has to be some kind of a penalty if a woman gets pregnant, so that she's also incentivized to be more careful about birth control for herself. And yeah, I mean, so a pre-conjugal agreement, I think, could settle it.
Yeah, yeah, that's you know, as MRAs, and if there are any MRAs out there, that's what they should be. Put down those videos about pruning feminists. I don't care what feminists are doing. I
No
could give
shit.
a shit what feminists are doing because they're just batshit crazy, and it doesn't matter to me, and it could not never affect me in my life being a Mgtow. What I really want these MRAs to do is do what they say they're going to do, and stop being batshit feminists.
Mhm.
Get in the legal, get in that legal fight. All these guys, you know, all of them are, most MRAs are freshly out of college or in college. They're involving themselves in them campus, those campus quarrels,
Yeah.
and those campus quarrels could be more about the real subjects, like you know, a conjugal agreement. Uh, Instead of when you're arguing with about rape, all you're doing is giving feminists tools to work with. Uh, it's by proxy validating a feminist issue. No, argue about the male-centric side of the view. Let's go for a conjugal agreement. Let's say no means no for men and start there, and then they have a purpose in this life other than just making some funny cartoon about, you know, they're fun to watch. They're entertaining, but at the end of the video, have they said anything useful, or have they made a statement or made a political activist stance on anything? No, they just made a stupid, funny video about pooning feminists. Did
That's
no
right.
good. Yeah, did no good at all. And it actually helps feminism at that point, where the every time you say it, and that's why my rule was before I pay $1 every time I say the F word. Every time I say the F word, I validate feminism.
See, I'm
Mhm.
stuck on this MRA thing now. I think the only consideration for Mgtow is to be aware of all of the issues, all of the dangers that face men, and all of the discriminations, all of the punishments,
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that can happen to you. And that's as far as we need to go. Whether the MRAs are successful in changing government legislation or not, really, if they are successful and they move towards that goal of punishing women for being irresponsible or taking away female privileges, then the women are going to look for, and they're not going to have the independence that's given to them in all these handouts, these government handouts, and they're going to look for men to support them again, and it's going to move back towards that traditionalist place where, to be honest, now I've got this freedom, I would never go back. And if the world, you know, became that way again, I'd rather just be as I am now, just completely independent, well away from, um, you know, having a dependent woman. Because if the government starts, you know, making them more dependent on men and, you know, being hard on them and stop giving them handouts, they're going to look to men to support them again. And I don't want to support a woman ever again. I'm really done with it, you know. It's just the MRA thing really
Yeah, I think I think in
overstepped
Mgtow
bounds.
we like to well I think the appeal of Mgtow is we do keep it real for if I can fall into saying a cliche, we do keep it real. I mean, we talk about how things really are. I mean, your point that a lot of people they're sort of projecting their sort of fantasies
Yeah,
into their channel is like that's it's like they're using their YouTube channel as a sort of fantasy. It's like this is how my life is, and but that's not how it is in real life. You know, we say they're playing with fire. You know, a lot of these guys say we're playing with fire. It's not just in Mgtow, but generally I think YouTube is just an entertainment channel. But in Mgtow, we've sort of brought the tone right down to the to the proper nitty gritty of really what's going on. You know, the bloody, the ugly side of what reality is.
I would love to see, or I used to want to see, um, women who forced a man to leave being refused any social housing or any monetary handouts from the government. Almost like if you try and claim an unemployment benefit and you go to Social Security and you say, they say, oh, what happened with your last job? And you say, oh, I just got bored and I fucking jacked it in. And they'll go, well, you can't have any money then. You know, you had a perfectly good job there, and now you've just jacked it in because you're too fucking lazy, and you're coming down here for a handout, and they won't give you it. And I always wanted them to do that with women and say to them, right, why did your last relationship break down? And the woman, if she said, well, I was bored of him, or I was shagging someone else, and they say, well, fuck you then. No free house, no money, no child benefits, no tax credits, any of those free things that British women get. You're on your own because you decided to be a single mum. You made that decision. That's your lifestyle choice. But now I couldn't give a fuck, because the more women they've got on benefits, with social housing, who are being taken care of by the government, all right, we pay by proxy through our taxes, but at least we don't have to look after the fuckers, and we haven't got them in our houses, you know, dictating to us where we can go, who we can speak to, what we can wear, what we can eat. It's like living with a fucking Hitler. So, yeah, MRAs can do what they like. They can make whatever changes they want now. I don't know what's going to happen in the rest of my lifetime, but I can't see a lot changing, so
No.
I'd rather stay as it is.
If the MRAs spent more of their time drawing attention to the disparities in family, divorce, alimony court, child custody, and all that stuff, I think they'd have a more meaningful profile. But they spread themselves so thin, putting out these little fires on the internet. It's basically a video game for them. This chick with the video game, she comes out, says something on the video game, and all these MRAs make videos about her. They're masturbating. They're not getting anything done. And if they put their, I think that's a good reason for male activism, is to draw attention in the public to what's going on in these courts and what men and children have been put through in the last 50 years. That would be a good reason for MRA. Other than that, I don't know what the hell they're doing other than entertaining each other.
They should be trying to change public thinking, because they've still got this gynocentric mindset where they just look at you as if to say, well, that's the way it is, stop complaining, you're a man. And you think, well, it's, you know,
I think
fucking harsh the way
I think they do, though. I think the MRA generally, I don't know, I can't speak for the groups in the US, but certainly Fathers for Justice and the few that are over in the UK, they do focus on the despicable family courts and the highly unjust family courts. And I think now and again, to like fill in the gaps between the legal contests, they do pick up on little injustices. But I think the problem with a lot of the MRA is they've got a lot of women in there, and they have to watch what they say because they don't want to offend their female members. And I think that's probably one of the problems that, you know, rightly Mgtow points out, that once you start having women involved in men's issues, I mean, the MRA has shown that they can't go all out in what they want to do, in what they want to say, because I mean, Fathers for Justice, it's chairman by a woman. I'm not dissing Fathers for Justice, by the way. I think they're a great, you know, they're doing some great work. But the fact that the second in command in Fathers for Justice is a woman, they can't say the things that we're saying. You know, they can't spell it out for men, and our remedy is immediate. You know, the things we tell men to do, they can do right away. You know, it's not like down the line or when legislation changes or when they go to court. You know, it's what we can do right now. But I think your point, Messenger, is the fact that Mgtow's getting that type of a watered down flavour.
Yeah. Well, that's. I mean, that's because there's so many individuals there, and everybody is choosing which way they want to do it. So it's just, I don't know. If there's going to be a message or a core fundamental philosophy, you've got to at least hold it together, because as soon as that starts falling apart, then the whole thing's just going to dissipate. And people have said during the course of this week, oh, you know, I made the statement, I said it's becoming too diverse. And if we can't clarify exactly what it's about, then I'm out, you know. And people said, well, what's wrong with it being diverse? And the point of my comment was, it's becoming so diverse that women are being allowed to have a voice, gay men are being allowed to have a voice and opinions, and really the issues that face heterosexual men and the discriminations we face just for being born men aren't understood by women or gay men. Gay men choose to be gay. That's a sexual preference. It's, you know, and if they're discriminated because of that, it's not right. I'm not saying that's right, but it's not the same as Mgtow. And when it becomes that diverse, that everybody starts bleeding into Mgtow, and everybody has these opinions from all these different social groups, and women have opinions, pretty soon Mgtow was just people. It was supposed to be a male space, and I saw people just bending and letting women in, and I just thought, this is all going to shit, man. And people co-opting it for other reasons, and you know, if we're not gonna be strong and say this is the core message, you're deviating from that. You know, still do it in your own way, but it's hard to do without people feel like they're being dictated to, and people are saying, you know, you have to go your own way, but it's this way. So really, it's very hard. I can't. People expect it to be some sort of brotherhood, and it is when it needs to be. If there's a man down, we all band together and we pick him up and we dust him off, and that man doesn't want hugs or any of that shit. He's like, right, you know, get off me now. I can do this on my own. And that's all he needed. He just needed someone to pick him up and send him on his way. That's when we pull together as a collective. Other than that, we are separate men. And times like this, we come together, we discuss ideas, and we debate. You know, those are the...
Yeah, isn't it the millennial child now that every kid gets to play now? That's seeping into Mgtow. Every kid doesn't get to play. If you're a blue pill guy, you can't play in Mgtow. You know, there's a difference between Mgtows. There's a difference between Mgtows and the blue pill world. If we let it tailor down and taper down into that, it's like you said, it just becomes part of society then, and it goes away, and we're back to square one now.
There's a paradox there, because really it's just an acronym, a label.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean a thing. You can walk around and say, I'm a Mgtow or I'm not a Mgtow, but if you're living that way, if you live like Vention, then it's indisputable fact.
Yeah, it's not a label in some cases. We live Mgtow. When it becomes so, I hear this so much now that it's just a label, and they bring that to me, and I say, no, it's not a label. It's how I live. It's my life choices. It's every decision I'm going to make, from the time I walk out of my house in the morning to the time I get back in here at night. I live by these rules that were set up. What were those rules that I set up? What were those rules in Mgtow that I set up? There's a lot more of those than just, I'm not going to get married, I'm going to be a bachelor. No, there's a certain way we present ourselves. There's a certain way we do things on everything. Not,
you know
just...
what I think there is an element of pride, misplaced pride, where people are proud of the label, I'm a Mgtow. And you think, fucking so what, man? I don't need to know that. You go and live your life. Why be so proud of a label? It's just, there's a philosophy, live by it, come and share some knowledge and advice, and we're done. But you don't have to keep saying, I'm a Mgtow, you're not a Mgtow. No one cares. I
don't think it matters. I mean, if you've got something to say, if you've got a story to tell, put it in a video and just put it on your channel. It doesn't matter what label or what group you call yourself or what you assign to it. You know, just tell it. I mean, that's what I did for my channel. I've always done that. If Mgtow never appeared, I mean, I'm very, very grateful for the knowledge and for the things I've learned in Mgtow. But if Mgtow disappeared, I'd still probably do what I do now. I just caveat.
That's the point I was sort of trying to make. You can tell a Mgtow, can't you? He doesn't have to call his channel Mgtow anything. He just makes a few videos and everyone says, there's a Mgtow.
Yeah, on the opposite spectrum of that, when these guys start talking, every kid gets to play. We have the mental health group and the emancipated males, the TFLers, and the gay guys. You can tell that they're not Mgtow. On the other spectrum too, you don't have to. When you see a Mgtow, you can tell a Mgtow.
And I think the problem is these guys. I mean, there's this term bandied around. I'm hearing. It's called the echo chamber. I think these guys, they're in their little They are in their little echo chamber, and they're in their little
Yeah.
circles, and they've got this idea of men's issues, of Mgtow, of, oh, this is different to the MRAs, this is different to every other type of men's group of men's issues stuff. And then when they hear somebody else saying, oh no, this is what Mgtow is, or this is me and I'm Mgtow, they sort of challenge that. So that there is this sort of like tussle. But you know, like I said, who cares? You know, who cares if you have you keep it. You know, I'm just gonna keep watching and listening to the channels and the videos I like, whether they call themselves Mgtow or not. I'm gonna, you know, if I've got something I think would make a good video, I'll stick it out there, whether people call it Mgtow or not.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna just start. You know, I got this term now where I'm just handing out pudding now to those guys. As soon as they start saying, "Oh, I'm going to get a girlfriend. I'm going to go do what I want because I'm my own Mgtow man and I'll do what I want," I'll say, you know, I'm just going to start saying to them, you go do that, boy. Go do that, because sooner or later you're going to get a woman pregnant, and guess what you're going to be? When you start understanding that, you will be a Mgtow. And when they get that pain, and that's what TFM's last video, it's going to take pain for these guys to realize what a Mgtow is.
I've been thinking about that too. I mean, if I'm allowed to change the subject, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I've been thinking about that, and I was thinking about Messenger's going to appreciate this one. I've been thinking about the meaning of suffering, and I was thinking, because I was watching Vention's videos, and I was thinking, if I lived like Vention, I'd be a lazy ass broke man. And I was thinking, I wouldn't strive for any. You know, I would just sit back and not do anything. I'd just grow my vegetables and stuff like that, look after the garden. But I was thinking that perhaps the purpose of suffering is to make men strive. It's a strive for betterment. It's a strive for improvement. And if you think about it, if we didn't suffer, I know Messenger, you made a video about this. If we didn't suffer, we wouldn't be striving. We wouldn't be talking. A lot of Mgtow, a lot of the MRA wouldn't be talking. They wouldn't be discussing these things. They wouldn't.
Right.
And I was thinking.
Pain, they always say pain is a positive process and it leads to psychological growth. So they always see it as a learning curve, which is exactly the point TFM was making there. You know, that experience, that painful experience, should be one that educates you, and you come out older and wiser. You know, I know it's an old cliche, but it's going to take, for people to reach that point of understanding, it's going to take that painful experience just for the, you know, for the light to go on.
I don't want these guys to go to rock bottom either. You know, they don't have to go. I'd like them to see it and listen to what I'm saying and see it after they have a bad experience with a girl, and then they go,
How comes Heartburn is the same age as me, yet he understands and doesn't want to tempt fate or play with the fire? What's the difference? That's the only thing that frustrates me, and you know.
Well, I've been thinking about that too. Now, if you look at a lot of these guys, a lot of these ex-PUAs, a lot of these guys that are, you know, let's face it, they're addicted to Fanny. Okay.
And that's the point. They're addicted to Fanny.
The education they received, or they chose for themselves to go down that line of educating themselves as to how to get with women. Now they've read all that information, they've made all those connections, you know, chemical connections which need to be broken. So they've trained themselves to be that way. Now they come to Mgtow and it's a different philosophy. So now they've got this dichotomy. They've got these two completely different ways of thinking, and unless you completely sever the old PUA way of thinking, it's going to try to merge, and it's a horrible animal when you see this fucking mongrel, the birth of a mongrel, a PUA / Mgtow trying to make its way through the Mgtow fucking community. It's just an ugly fucking dog of a thing, you know.
Yeah,
it really doesn't. It's not successful, is it? It's not a successful.
I can tell they don't score points of you, brother.
It's what I said. It's a low brid. If Mgtow is gonna ascend into something superior, it needs to merge with something superior to itself. If you try and mix Mgtow with PUA, an inferior philosophy, then Mgtow becomes a low brid and a lesser thing. So yeah, you really got to, and these are the people that talk about moving forward, and mixing something as good as Mgtow with a lump of shit that is PUA. What are you going to get? You know,
they're slow walking themselves backwards out of Mgtow, and it's disgusting. I think that's why we embrace the monk thing, isn't it? Because a monk is a superior thing, isn't it?
It seems so. It's certainly. I think it's certainly in a puritanical sense. It would seem so. But here's the issue, and I think you guys have touched upon this, but in a certain sense we can relate to these guys because we were there at one point. And the thing is, in our society in the West, we have something what we say sex sells. You know, we're oversaturated with sex. We're desensitized to sex. You know, and anything beyond a straight fuck after dinner, after first date with the girl, we feel cheated, and that's our society. And the thing is, these guys, you know, my other point was that lust and desire. These are the things that these guys use as a motivation, you know, to groom themselves, to make money, to have nice things, you know, to look smart. These are one of their main motivations, is lust and desire. Now, when you remove that away, you know, when we're telling them to go monk, you know, we're telling them to remove or to control that lust. But that's not going to happen. I'm saying unless you replace it with something, because if that's their motivation to do the things they do, and let's face it, it's almost everything they do, from the job they have to getting up in the morning to washing to wiping their ass rather than just slapping their pants back on after they're finished. It's so to impress this girl, then obviously that you're going to have to replace that motivation with something else.
But it's everywhere, isn't it? I mean, they talk about the objectification of women and all this fucking bollocks. It is everywhere. Every magazine you might look at, even just the covers on the shelf if you don't buy magazines, advertising, hoardings, everywhere. Women are objectified. Those images are there. They're seductive. They're suggestive, and it triggers it in your brain. You're a man. You know, you've got testosterone. And it just sets off that pattern of thinking. You walk down the street, you think, oh, I've got to get that bus, I've got to get that fucking train. Next thing you know, you catch in the peripheral vision there some cleavage on an advertising hoarding, and you're thinking about a pair of tits. Yeah. And if you're that way inclined, and if you're that susceptible to it, then you're off. That's your train of thought for the next fucking.
Yeah, they're telling on themselves. I just listened to a video the other day, and the guy was going on about his desires and passions and everything, and what came clear in my head, and it's been clear in my head for a while, that mating is not the same as having sex. When you're looking for a female for sex, you're looking for something that's an artificial construct that is beautiful. When I was looking for something to mate with and have a baby with, if you're looking for something to have a baby with, aren't you looking for a stronger, sturdier female that has genetic qualities that would enhance you to have a male son that is larger? And that could be not beauty.
It's interesting that, because if you go from one society to another, like for example, if we go to the Middle East or the Far East, and we compare what they find attractive in a woman to what we find attractive in women, I think the media has very much a lot to do with it. I think, you know, if we look at the films, if we look at the posters, the magazines, what we're sold as a beautiful woman, and what their ideas of a woman, of a mate, a woman that they would find attractive is quite different.
Yes, health has a lot to do with it. When I look at a healthy woman, a big woman, you know, she has big, you know, larger muscles, she has a bigger brain, she has a bigger frame. I'm thinking about, boy,
childbearing hips.
Yeah, she has childbearing hips. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking she is a vessel for my child. And
a beard.
I don't have a beard. I don't think of her as, you know, that's beautiful breeding material there. And there's a difference in Mgtow between that. If you want to have a son, you want to have, and most of us want to have sons. It's just, if you want to have that, that's something different. And a lot of these guys, they tell on themselves when they're looking at that media generated smallish female. What you go to, that skinny smallish female that you think is beautiful, what kind of son are you going to put out into this world with that disgusting MLM, been with 1,000 guys, disgusting piece of trash, that's smallish, skinny, frail. Her skin texture is not good. You can tell it's bacteria filled because she got that puffiness. And these guys think that's beautiful. And they're saying, yeah, that would be nice to fuck.
You see, what I'm trying to get at is, these guys, once they leave the PUA and they leave dating or courting,
yeah,
they go downhill. I mean, what do you tell these guys? It's like, we're not telling you like not to look after yourself, not to exercise, not to eat properly, not to groom and be clean.
Right. Yeah.
But once these guys they lose that luster, and they lose that desire, I'm afraid that's where they'll go. I mean, that's why I think as men you need to like replace it with something else.
Right. You need to place inside of yourself, and that's what Mgtow's about. Replacing all that garbage that you shedded yourself with a real respect, a real masculine quality inside yourself, where you feel good about walking out your door. You feel good about the man you look at in the mirror. There's no longer that shame in being a male. I'd like to see all Mgtows consider themselves alpha, desirable males, and build that strength, that all that stuff that comes with being a man. And when I see the emasculated male around here chasing pussy, I think, oh geez, Mgtow's failing.
Yeah, that's why I think it's either that or just be a ghost. Just, I mean, I live on an estate, and there's lots of people around here. There's lots of single mothers, and there's lots of drug dealers, and there's lots of fucking idiots like most places.
Yeah.
I just move around. Nobody bothers me. I don't really engage with many people, and I don't care how I'm perceived. Not that I don't have any respect for myself, but I've just sort of disappeared, and that's.
Oh yeah.
I could stay like that now, because then nobody casts any aspersions on me. Nothing's expected of me, and as long as I'm supporting myself.
Yeah, you're not peacocking anymore. You're just trying to be invisible, and that's the best place to be in Mgtow. I just want to move around my community, not be noticed, be invisible to everybody. Maybe I'll stack some change in my drawers and stuff. Get some of that silver they talk about, become a more. But I don't want people noticing me. I don't want any.
Do you know what? It's really pleasant, because I actually went out and bought some groceries yesterday, and I just mind my own business now. I saw a friend of mine, and I had a conversation with him. But anybody else I engaged with, it was just pleasantries, and it was all very well mannered. Don't have to engage with them on any other level. And then I walk away, and I thought, that's how it should be. Just, please, thank you. If someone's rude, I think, okay, that person's got issues. I'll just move away, and I'm gone again. I don't have to really get involved in anyone else's life, and it's a lot less stressful for me.
Oh heck yeah, walking away works for those micro moments in life where I walk up into the store and when I'm picking a line. And my buddy always often laughs at this about me. I'll be picking a line at the grocery store, and I'll see 3 females in that line, and I'll see 2 males in that line, and I'll see the female talking, and I'll say, that line ain't moving shit. That line ain't going nowhere. I picked a line with the 2 males in it. I'm in and out of that store, and I don't have that stress on me having to listen to 3 bitches in the line talking about how they fucking are braiding and weaving their hair and basket weaving and shit, It's just I walk away from those things. I walk away from those things in every microcosm of my life. If I walk into a car dealership and I want to see a car and a female walks out and she wants to do this would pick up the girls bullshit, I don't care. I want a car that gets me back and forth to work I want a car that's dependable, and it doesn't matter to me that it's a chick magnet. When I see some of these guys making these videos about, here's my Mercedes Benz, and this is what I'm driving now because I'm a Mgtow, I think you're still doing a plumage for the females.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, not no more. I want to be invisible, transparent. I don't want people to notice me. I don't want women looking at me as a utility anymore. And it starts.
Most men, it makes sense to them. I've got friends. I just bought a car. I bought a car from eBay, and it cost me 500 quid.
Nice.
And it's fucking brilliant. I just drove to Wales and back, no problems, really comfortable. It's a good old car, solid car. And my friends look at me and they say, fucking, what's that piece of shit you're driving? And I look at them and say, it works. Who have I got to impress?
Yeah.
And they look at me and they say, oh, true. And I say, how much do you pay per month in finance and interest on your car? Because that's the car she made you buy. Yeah. And they go, oh, fucking hundreds of pounds. I say, mine's bought and paid for. Gets me about. Yeah. They know it makes sense. They know it makes sense, but the thing they can't get over is the fact that they've got to have that car and they're strapped to that finance to impress the neighbours. They're caught in all that fucking keeping up with the Joneses bollocks, and next door's wife has got this new car and his wife has got to have that car. Otherwise,
yeah, it's keeping up with the Joneses mentality.
Yeah, fuck all that shit. Yeah, and they know it makes sense. When I speak, they try and put me down on that male competing thing. I'm more successful than you. I've got this year's version. I say, yeah, my car's fucking 25 years old and it looks like shit. And they go, all right, you don't seem to be bothered about that? No, it's bought and paid for. It gets me from A to B. And they know that makes sense. And they secretly look at me and think, I wish I could be like him and not give a fuck.
They secretly want to be like you and not give a fuck, but they're so into that peacocking for the woman, spending the money for the woman. That ain't Mgtow. That's the end result of not being Mgtow. I wish I could stick my camera out the window right now and you see what's in my backyard and my staging area back there. There's a van, a work van. Now I never see none of these guys making a video about the work van they just bought, and that don't impress the shit out of no woman. It's a nasty looking work van with tools in it, but and that says Mgtow on it. I'm not out there impressing a woman. I got 3 cars out there, and I don't even fucking drive anymore. From that old kind of living. If I had 3 vans, that would be a business.
Yeah.
We transcend these things. I don't care what some woman thinks about if the van's big and clumsy looking or don't go fast on the street. That's garbage.
Well, it makes money.
It makes money.
It makes money.
Yeah, I put a generator in there and a couple tools, and you got a business. 2 men in a van. The idea, the complex. Most of these guys miss the complex, the not so complex idea of 2 men in a van. You buy if you're going to go out and buy a $30,000 sports car, how can that possibly make you money? Go out and buy a $20,000 van and put $10,000 worth of tools in there. You have a lifetime of independence.
Well, if we just change the subject but stay along these lines, being self-employed and creating a business for yourself, so you're not tied to an employer, or you don't have to put up with women in a workplace or in an office.
Yeah.
This is along the lines of, I know TFM's made a video about having goals, and I touched on it in a video, and I've said it before, but starting a business is a goal, and it's an enjoyable goal. You can enjoy the process. It makes you money. And a lot of people said, what's the point of having these distant goals, these things that are far off in the future that you can't enjoy now? But it's one of those things. I wanted to make a video about it. But there's long-term goals, short-term goals, even going to see a band. It's one of them things you always wanted to do. You couldn't do it if you're in a relationship. So now you say, all right, well, I'll get on the internet now and I'll book those tickets. There's a goal. There's something to look forward to this year.
Yeah.
Businesses, setting up a small business is one of the most exciting things you'll ever do. And you can look back and say, oh, you remember when that business was just me and a van, and now look at it. I can just kick back in my office, you know, send a few invoices out, money comes rolling in. That's Mgtow. That is Mgtow. Freedom.
Getting there. That total freedom that's involved with that. Every time these guys waste money on a Mercedes-Benz with the T-top on it that looks cool, that's going to get them laid, I think, all I can think is future loser.
Yeah.
That was an expensive fuck.
Yeah, guys, get a rickshaw.
Yeah, you know, hey, a rickshaw, if you start traveling around your neighborhood in a rickshaw with a bicycle attached to it and you know, give people rides, you're making money. I don't care how you're making money.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, I don't care how you're making money or what you invested in one of those little scooters that deliver packages from business to business very efficiently.
Yeah.
But you know, I've added in a 10-speed and become a bicycle delivery boy. But you're not thinking about pussy. There's no word pussy in that. You're thinking man shit there. I know guys that can take, you know, collecting aluminum cans and then build machines out of them, and you know that's what they do. Men, you know, they take the little microcosm, little things in life that we have all around us, putting doorknobs in, hanging doors, fixing bathrooms, and then all of a sudden they're big, huge businesses because they weren't thinking about how you know, the first time you put in a bathroom and you spend your profits on getting that pussy, you don't have a business then. You're just buying pussy.
I can just see it now. New York, all those huge yellow cabs. Sweep them aside and put rickshaws and, you know, get those expansion packs for the rickshaw and carry 6, 8.
Don't they? In London, there's rickshaws everywhere.
Yeah.
The bicycle ones, in Soho, all around the West End. You just jump in it and they'll take you up Covent Garden. Yeah.
I don't know. I quite like to have a horse though. In all seriousness, I quite like to. It feeds itself. It cleans its for the most part cleans itself, and you can have other horses. You know, there's no need to buy another horse. You just breed it, and there you go. And horses that go up to like 40 miles an hour, I think. The fastest horse is like 40 miles an hour, and I'd quite like to see that.
Yeah,
you know,
race horses and stuff like that. That's a good, you know, if you get the right breed, and kind of get lucky on that, you know, and all of a sudden you're selling, you know, you're selling his sperm, which is kind of anti-Mgtow, but.
Yeah, I can just picture myself going down to Asda, or in the US it's called the Walmart. Go down to the Walmart in my horse and a couple of caviar bags. Yeah, because you have to pay for caviar bags, don't you, messaging these days? So you have to bring your own caviar bags now.
Yeah, they started giving people tickets for that around here about bringing their horses in from the countryside and going to the Walmart, the parking and stuff like that.
No, really?
Yeah, they started giving, and then they started giving the DWIs, the driving while intoxicated, driving a horse while intoxicated.
No. I certainly hope they don't do that.
If the horse isn't drunk, it's okay.
Yeah, the horse isn't drunk. He's driving fine.
Well, I hope they don't do that over here, because I'm seriously considering doing that. Yeah, there's a big field back here, so I can just keep the horse in the field and he'll eat the grass, etc. But yeah,
can you free range like that?
I guess so.
That's so. Yeah, that's the big argument on the Bundy Ranch is free ranging. You know.
Oh, is that what was happening over there at the Bundys? It's not related. Every time I hear the word Bundy, I'm thinking Al Bundy.
Al Bundy. Well, Al Bundy's important to Mgtow too. He started the whole thing, didn't he?
Oh yeah, well, Al Bundy.
Yeah, that woman. What was the woman's club? No, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you see that episode when he's trying to fix is it a satellite dish to his roof, and he gets all the guys over, and at the end of the day they all set up camp on his roof, and all the wives are downstairs asking where the husbands are, and all the guys are upstairs on the roof.
On the roof drinking beer. Yeah.
Yeah, watching the game.
Watching the game.
Yeah, they couldn't fit it. They couldn't fit it, so they bought the TV up on the roof. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Al started to No Ma'am. I seen No Ma'am around the other day. The guy that wrote the original blog, No Ma'am. And
what is that his name? No Ma'am.
Yeah, that's his avatar. And I don't know if he's been around forever. Yeah.
His avatar?
Yeah, no ma'am. It's a no ma'am avatar, and if you check on the line, he's got the no ma'am Mgtow thing going. It's been God since maybe 10 years ago since no ma'am came out.
Oh, is this a YouTube channel you're talking about?
It's a YouTube channel, yeah.
Okay, sorted. Anyway, Messenger, I was trying to explain to these guys about Morris dancing.
Morris dancing. Can you please explain that?
It's a very strange. If you go to these little villages where people's brother is their cousin and their dad, and they're all into bread and they don't get out much, you'll see these old men dancing in a circle, waving handkerchiefs, and they've got bells strapped to their ankles.
Ribbons.
Oh.
Ribbons, and they bash sticks together with bells on them, and I really don't know why. That's all I can tell you.
It's part of the Welsh culture, though. It's part of the Welsh culture.
Yeah, that was big in the Italian culture, too, at one time, with the bells and the men dancing together in the middle of the street, which maybe...
We always said we thought it was gay. It's got nothing to do with any of that, but we always just looked at the way they were dancing and what they were doing, and we said they must be gay. I don't know. But it just looks very effeminate. It's not a man's dance, It's just they skip backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
And they tap their little sticks together, and then they just do that. And I don't know why.
Okay, we need a video provided by one of the guys so we can see this. We could all actually kind of witness this Morris dancing. He says dancing like Morrissey. Nah, not Morrissey.
Who said that?
Johnny Midnight.
That's like Morris. Oh, is he from UK, Johnny?
Daffodils around. It's not far removed from that, actually. It's very strange. I don't think I've ever seen it in real life. I've seen it on the TV.
Yeah, the Welsh.
It's a media-generated thing.
What?
Like, you think it's media-generated? They're just looking for something to incite people. We have all these Morris dancers around.
Oh no, Morris dancing is a very, very old Welsh tradition. It's very traditional. They've been doing Morris dancing for as long as we've had
I've got to look this up.
See, they don't believe his Messenger. They think we're pissing.
Information. I don't want to know those things. Just in case someone asks me and I say, yeah, I know all about Morris dancing. A big crowd of people have beat me up.
Oh, you've got to know about these things.
Oh, yeah, okay. You can get anything on Wikipedia now.
Yeah.
Morris dancing is a form of English folk dance usually accompanied by music. Yeah, of course. It is based on a rhythmic stepping and the execution of choreographical figures by a group of dancers usually wearing bell pads, shin emplacements such as sticks, swords, handkerchiefs, and maybe wielded by the dancers. But it doesn't tell me what the actual idea behind it is.
It's
sort of mumming, isn't it? Is it what they call mumming? Now I know what mumming is.
I think they just drink a lot of cider and then go and tie handkerchiefs round their heads and all skip around in a circle. There's not much to do in the countryside, to be honest. If they had nightclubs, there probably wouldn't be such a thing.
If they had nightclubs, there wouldn't be no more.
I don't think so. I think because the thing is, the Welsh are slightly different. And for those of you in the US that don't know, that Wales is next door. It's the neighbouring country to England. The UK consists of Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and England. Wales is right next to England, and it's normally probably the most closest, because whenever the government releases any figures, it's normally the Welsh and English England statistics. But yeah, Wales and England have always had this little tiff. So
okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They say they have no idea why it was named Morris dancing. It's just the Moorish people from the Moors.
I don't think so. I certainly do not think so. But yeah, it's been part of Welsh culture for as long as as long as there's been a Welsh culture, I think. And yeah, I was going to do some racial stereotyping. I was going to do my racial stereotyping section. But I sort of got pulled out in the middle of it, so I wasn't able to do a lot of research. Yeah, I was going to do a section on England, or the UK, I should say, or the UK, and I sort of got stopped when because obviously there's a Northern Ireland thing as well. I don't know if you guys know, but obviously there's been a long running dispute over Northern Ireland and Ireland. For some strange reason, they refuse, or people hate to refer to the rest of Ireland as Southern Ireland. There's Northern Ireland, but you can't call the other part Southern Ireland. The other part you've got to call Ireland.
Island? So you just, so there's a PC way of saying it now?
Yeah. Isn't that right, Messenger?
Oh, I don't get involved in Irish politics. It's too complicated, because I used to drink with too many Irish men, and if you brought up Irish politics, you know, the next thing there would be punches flying.
Punches flying, yeah.
In the morning, and you say, well, what was that about? And someone would say, apparently there was a potato famine. And it always came down to, you fucking took all our potatoes, you English fuckers, and then
You've got to be kidding.
Seriously, and half of the Irish don't understand Irish politics, and they talk about a lot of the troubles and all that sort of stuff. My oldest brother went to Northern Ireland, and I know it was a very, very messy situation, and a lot of people didn't get involved in the politics, don't want to know the politics, and yeah, I don't understand much of it, and it's not something I really want to look into, because it's such a touchy subject.
Yeah.
And if an Englishman knows a lot about Irish politics and goes into a pub and says, well, I know more about it than you, to an Irishman, you'll get knocked out, so it's no point.
That's right.
Yeah, it's just some ancient thing that's some ancient rift between the brothers here, you know, and because when you think about it, we're all brothers, Irish, the Welsh, the English, you know, we're all the same people.
If you say that to the Welsh, they will not agree. They will not agree on that.
Not agree on that, huh?
I'll tell you one thing though. Normally, an English guy or English people, they don't normally have black hair, but Welsh people, you do find they have black hair, and that's one thing I have noticed. Have you noticed that, Messenger?
Yeah, I've just come back from Wales, actually. I went there for a week. And I'm well aware, I used to go there a lot when I was a kid. I know what they're like. They keep their own language. You've got to respect that fact. All the road signs are in Welsh. If you're not familiar with it, the cash machines, the petrol stations, the police cars, everything, you need to know the Welsh language, otherwise you'll get lost.
Yeah, and that's Gaelic, you know.
Yeah, so we respect that. Yeah, it's a different language altogether, and we respect that. They teach it in their schools. They speak it. They mix it with the English language as well. So if you're in a grocery store, they will speak to you in English and immediately speak to someone else in Welsh, and then they'll throw Welsh words into the English language when they're speaking to you. Some of them you understand, some of them you don't. But yeah, it's just a very diverse place, and you can come across a lot of colloquialisms and diversities of the English language moving from one place to another within half an hour. It's very strange.
It just means all the road signs are twice as big, because they put the Welsh and then they put the English. But one thing,
the Welsh word for diesel is diesel, spelled exactly the same. But in the petrol stations, they write it twice. Diesel.
Yeah,
diesel.
they write it twice.
Diesel.
All the signs are twice as big. But
yeah.
One funny thing I found was the Scottish, and it's traditional for the Scottish, the Welsh, and the Irish to hate the English.
yeah, we could agree on something. Yeah.
One interesting thing I did find was Scotland and England didn't unite until apparently the King of Scotland took over England, and the old name for Scotland was Alba, which came from the Latin word for Gael, which obviously the word Gaelic, which is where the word Gaelic comes from. The Latin word, the old word for Scotland was Alba, and the old word for England was Albion. The Albion, obviously, all you Robin Hood fans will recognise that that was the name of the sword given to Robin Hood. But yes, sorry, the Latin word for Gale, it was a I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Scotia or something, Scotia or something, which is where the word Nova Scotia comes from, which is an area in what's it called, in Canada. So yeah, England and Scotland united in 1707. Obviously, all you Braveheart fans will know that there was a contention between Scotland and England for a while. But yeah, what's interesting is Albert and Albion also is linked to Albania.
Albania, okay.
Yeah, Albania, and there were other areas as well that the people around at that time colonized.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so English and Scotland mated and gave out a baby called Canada. No, I'm just kidding. That's what's wrong with them. Jeez.
Yeah. So there you go.
What's the thing between Canada and the US then? Because they're always fucking ripping the shit out of each other.
Yeah, we just rip the shit out of it because it's two separate. It's totally two separate cultures, and we think they're like really laid back. It's just kind of a joke. Sometimes we're going to go to war with Canada, and then we giggle because that's just so funny. You know, they're so. It's. I guess it's sort of like the difference between a Scottish guy and you know, a wealthy, you know, not even wealthy, an English guy. You know, there's a difference there, and they talk different, and they have their mannerisms, but it's so close together. The only thing that's separating us is like this invisible line.
Well, that's it. That's it for me. I'm all exhausted for material.
You're exhausted for
You
material.
guys take over from here.
Yeah, you didn't bring a mailbag today, huh?
Oh, no, yeah, no bail bags, sorry, guys.
Oh, no Mgtow hate today.
Oh, there's always Mgtow hate. I just didn't. One funny thing was I was watching this video, and this girl was saying that she was asked to join ISIS. She's asked to join ISIS, and and I was thinking the term for ISIS, well, what she thought the term of ISIS was, it's quite similar to New York, because you know in New York you say when you're writing the address in the city of New York, you write it twice, so it's New York, New York, and that's what she thought as well. She thought ISIS is the same. It's like when you write a letter to ISIS, it's like Islamic State. Islamic State. You have to say it twice. Yeah.
Yeah. The girls. Was that the little girl that does the videos that she just like gets everything wrong purposely?
I don't know, but she was. But yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. I think that one's called The Third Life or something, and I picked her up from Phil G's channel. Phil G, his last video, he's got this girl saying that she was talking to this English guy who she was asking to buy a game for her, and he says that he wants it but it's too expensive, and he said it's £15, and she says, why is it so heavy?
Why is it so heavy?
Is it because England is closer to the sun? Yeah. She's a proper jolly. Yeah, she's very smart. Yeah, she's schooled a lot of people. But yeah, she's got another friend who did this ISIS video.
It's a stereotypical, you know, dense blonde or stupid blonde, you know.
Yeah, I find it funny who some of these guys that saying the Europe is an Islamic state. It's the Muslims have taken over Europe, and Europe is by 2014 France will be a Islamic Republic. We'll have a Sharia law.
Oh yes, it's yeah, these things. What's going to happen in the future? You know, God, you get so many of those things.
Oh my God, these guys, they're hilarious. Oh yeah, what's that guy Pat Condell? He goes, look, it's already happening. We're having halal meat.
Halal meat, yeah.
Halal meat in London. We've got halal meat, and we've got women's only swimming on Tuesday. We've got women's only. Oh, sorry guys, it just kills me when these guys come with shit like this. Women swimming on own for Tuesdays. These are what the Muslims taking over. They've taken over the swimming pool. What's it? Pizza Hut does halal meat. Oh, sorry guys, just had to get that one.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it's about 2:14 now for palatability's sake. You guys want to kind of end this, or you guys want to go on for a while?
Nah, I'm fine. Is it?
There a late one today, Joe?
That would probably be up to Zeta. I don't know if Zeta. I messaged him before, and he's in. He usually starts up the late one. If the guys want to do a later one about 4 o'clock, we can do one.
Yeah, I'll be happy to join you guys at about 4 or whatever, but I'm going to check out here.
Yeah, I got to walk up to the store in the snow. There's like 5 inches of snow now here, and go get cigarettes and stuff, and refresh the beer. And yeah, so we'll probably start up around 4 o'clock again. We could do mailbag and movies if you want.
Excellent.
Some guy on the comment section is saying, it'll be hilarious if you get beheaded by the fox.
By the fox. It'll be hilarious.
He thinks I'm going to get beheaded by the Sharia Council in England. Getting halal meat. Oh, these guys, man. They're so hilarious.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
They're taking over. I'm going to get beheaded and...
what was that new thing in Germany that they had the rape gang?
Oh, yeah. I don't know about that. But I can tell you there's no Sharia over here.
There's no Sharia. I hope I don't get raped.
I hope I don't get beheaded. I hope I don't get raped and then beheaded by these Muslims taking over.
Oh, that was a reference to Lee Rigby.
No, I don't think so. I think he's talking about the thing. I don't think he knows about Lee Rigby, does he?
No. No, that would just be a murder anyway. That wouldn't be anything to do with Islam or any of that. It's just two crazy people who decided to murder someone in the street.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's a lot of.
You take these things and they do try and twist them, and they do try and turn it into an agenda and make it political, and then
everything's Muslim oriented. Anything that happens, if a store gets robbed, there was Muslims there, and people are seeing it's the American thing where people are seeing Muslims under their bed. And we used to say there were communists under our bed. Everybody sees a communist.
It's funny because if you actually enter into a mosque or you actually meet the Muslim community, it's not like that at all. They're all old men. It's mainly old men. The guys that practice Islam, they're mainly old men. Wear long shalwar kameez and long beards and stuff. And most of the youth, the Muslim youth, they don't know about Islam anyway. They're very non-practicing. And when I hear these things that Muslims are taking over, and all the women are going to get raped, and Paul Wilson told me to get out of his country.
He lives in Scotland. You're not in Scotland.
He told me to get out of his country.
You're not in his country.
Wow.
Tell him to get out of Scotland.
That's what I had to tell him. You get out. You get out of my country.
Fucking Robert the Bruce said, "Get out of Scotland." Come on.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't see how these people are serious. So how can you be serious? Wow.
Watching too much YouTube, I think.
Watching too much TV, YouTube, they get saturated. It's like the old person watching 24/7 of law, those law things, those law shows, and then they think that there's rapists, murderers, and killers outside their window.
Yeah.
I don't know. People looking out for the jihadists.
Yeah, there's a jihadist in my backyard. I could see there's probably some idiot that called the police and I think there's a jihadist in my backyard.
Yeah. Yeah, could you imagine? Oh yeah. This girl she was talking about getting questioned by the police. This dumb girl getting questioned by the police about her ISIS involvement.
It's this
Yeah,
involvement.
I can imagine her now getting a girl by the police. Police ask, have you ever had any involvement with any terrorist activity? And she'll say, yeah. And go, oh, what involvement have you had? She says, well, I bought some apples from Israel, and I heard that there's a terrorist that my money was donating to terrorism in Israel. That's the sort of thing that goes on.
Oh, they're taking it way too far now. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. They're just going to hurt themselves. Like,
hey, Trump's going to fix this. You know he is.
yeah, he's going to sort it out, isn't he?
He's going to close down all the borders.
He's going to sort it out. What's funny, you know, I mean, in the UK we had like the BNP. They've, you know, transcended now to the EDL. But anyway, I remember a bunch of them got together and they all started hyping each other up with this hate. And then they walked out into the street, and the first brown guy they saw, they beat the shit out of him because they thought he was a Muslim, and he was a Sikh guy. He was Sikh. Sikhs hate Muslims. They beat the shit out of a Sikh guy.
Oh Jesus!
Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. Hate is just that way. You know, it's blind.
It's a pity about that.
Okay, and
check out. I'm gonna finish my cooking.
Yeah, I got to go do some stuff. On that note, we'll end the first part of the regular Sunday podcast, and hopefully later ZWN, and we'll get to the guys back in, and we'll talk about.
We'll get Gay Double G in. That was J Double G.
He wants to come in, but it's up to you guys whether you want to deal with that. All that gay.
We'll talk about gay men's rights and how gynocentrism affects gay men.
Okay, yeah, that'll be it's like, yeah, okay, that'll be fun.
Let's have a meaningful debate about.
Okay, well, I'm gonna stop this broadcast right about